Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our new SaaS SI Partnership Podcast series. I am Shankar from Coot, and I will be your host for today's episode. When it comes to successful partnership, it's very essential to understand your partner's needs, preferences, and operating nuances. However, for many SaaS companies, it's very difficult to navigate these dynamics with system integrators. Given the size of a system integrator, the complexity of the organizational structure, and the limited information available about them. Today, I am thrilled to welcome Prashant from Hexaware. As a head of data practice, Prashant regularly evaluates and collaborates with numerous SaaS products, helping them to scale to new heights. He is here to share valuable insights into the world of SIs from a SaaS perspective. Yeah. Hi, Prashant.
Hello.
Yeah. Welcome to our show.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Okay. So thanks a lot for your time. So before diving deep into our question and answers, could you please, give a quick introduction, about you to our audience?
Sure. I'm Prashant Dahalkar. I'm based in Bangalore. Been with Hexaware for 3 years now. And prior to that, I've worked with Cognizant for almost 11 years and some other companies. Overall, my experience has always been in data and AI, of course. Now, what I do exactly in Hexaware is I take care of the pre-sales. So all the verticalized pre-sales, including, let's say a new business around, let's say marketing, analytics and all, that comes with me. There is a team created for solutions. Now that solution is nothing but a platform which is also encouraged by Microsoft and AWS. So it's really having a good name. It's called Amaze. It's a patented platform created by Hexaware. So that engineering team is with me. And then I've created 5 CoEs, which is focused on Hyperscalers, Databricks, Snowflake, and a specific one for data management, which is MDM and your data catalog lineage and all. So that's the work which I do for Hexaware.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, so little bit about Hexaware, because there might be, we are also reaching to a lot of audience across the globe. Probably they can get
Sure. So Hexaware is a very old company when it comes to existence, like it's 30 plus years. So it looks like, though it is old, it's like still having a very nimble startup culture. So like from last 7 or 8 years, I would say, after Keech took over as a CEO, the culture has completely shifted to, kind of making sure that we cater to any kind of business with that agility. Traditionally, it was a ERP company, and now we have completely transformed ourselves into 4 business units, I would say, which is service lines. And those service lines are mainly taking care of your build, which is digital and software. Then the second one is run, which is nothing but, taking the maintenance of all things which have gone into production. There is transform, which takes care of all legacy modernization. That's my group, which is cloud, data, and AI. And the last one is the business process optimization. So these are the 4 groups, service lines. Of course, there are verticals involved in it. So revenue-wise, I think it's very open as of 2024, and we should clock around 1.4 billion. And we are completely owned by Carlyle, which is a private equity for us.
I think now you're going for listing also.
Yes, mostly by beginning of next year we are hoping.
Congratulations. Thanks. Yeah. So it's a large organization, Prashant. So trying to understand what level of revenue you are making from a SaaS product induced revenue, right? I think induced revenue as an overall. If you can throw some number, sure, that could be the starting point of our discussion.
Yeah. So as a unit, let's say if I take cloud, data, and AI, and we recently had an acquisition also, so that's close to 30 million. So if I take the total revenue, it's close to 250 million. Now, a lot of revenue comes through the data engineering piece, because many of the legacy, let's say on-prem systems are moving to cloud. But now when it comes to cloud, so adopting to cloud is more SaaSified now. So if you think of Snowflake itself as a SaaS product, right? Or let's say anything which is enabling it, for example, your data management products, your MDM products, all are SaaS. The beauty and the other thing is now 70% of our business is on Microsoft, let's say. So Azure itself has transformed, which is now Fabric, right? So Fabric is completely SaaS-based offering, right? So to answer your question now, that 70% itself will actually translate into Fabric, and which is SaaS product. And now Fabric, they themselves are promoting other SaaS products. So for example, the native MDM solution on Fabric is Prophecy and Cluedin, and they both are SaaS.
Sure.
So I would say if you really look at the transformation journey, 70 to 80% of revenue will come or will be induced through SaaS products or SaaS offerings.
Got it. Got it. So could you throw a little bit light on how Hexaware makes money? When for example, you're a system integrator, you will also sell reseller product, but you also make money out of it. So is there any thumb rule like 1:5, 1:4? How do you really look at it? Because this will be helpful. Probably we'll cover those points questions little later.
Sure.
Yeah.
So again, I will divide this into multiple types of vendors. As I said, Microsoft itself is a enabler or vendor for us, right?
Mhm.
So they earn through the utilization, right? So whatever workloads you take to cloud, they are anyway going to make money. So now that ratio would be based on the complexity and the volume of data that you are processing. So I'll park that. That's the first big bucket. But if I look at the second and third, which is like a mid-size SaaS offering our product, and something which is really, very niche and does something which others don't do, right? It's very niche. Like for example, conversion of scripts, which are like, let's say, SSIS-based packages into PySpark. So there's a company which we deal with. They are specifically focused on only such transformation, right? So, so the division is between these three. Okay. And now, if you look at the ratio the question that you asked for the ratio. Now, the ratio is if I'm doing a reseller agreement with some of them, we have reseller agreements now in the range of, let's say, 10 to 12%. So, the mid-size average, if they make, let's say, 250K per year in terms of, retainer license revenue, we are taking care of the implementation of that product. So the professional service, including, entire implementation is taken by us. So that ratio is, as you said, it will be close to 60% higher than what they are making.
Oh,
For the mid size. For the small size, it will be very like 80-20%.
okay. Yeah. Very interesting. Interesting question. So probably again, I will go back. So you mentioned you are doing closely around 250 million revenue in the data practice. So is there any benchmark like, the big players like AWS, those guys, how much they may make and how much of the mid and small, if there is any ballpark? So that what we're trying to understand is, if as only SaaS products who are, viewing this, they will say that, hey, do I have any, any room in this goblet, right? Or is it only for the big boys?
Absolutely not. I mean, it's not only for big boys. See, big boys, they will definitely have their piece. That's the given.
Right.
There will be some struggle to get into that for the smaller ones, but it's not going to happen. But only thing is you'll have to create an offering which is very niche, right? Niche, but second thing is it has to be, so there are some parameters, like it has to be very simple to implement. It has to be really interoperable, right? So a lot of clients are looking at vendor lock-in as a impediment. I don't want to put my, code or put my data in some place where I'm locked for a long time, right? Can I easily move out of it? That's one of the things which SaaS products should look at. So, I mean, of course, so the big players, now coming to the numbers, I'm just taking an example of an insurance company.
Okay.
They might start with a budget of 20K per month in terms of utilization of the cloud infra, but then they stretch up to 50K per month. So if you imagine you are actually for a year, you are making, it's a big amount, right? So it's a recurring business for the big players.
Got it.
For the smaller ones, they will have one like yearly retainer fees, license fees. What they do is they will make money based on the volume. So it's different model. So number of records that they process, they charge on that. So initial slab is like 1 million records. Then for every chunk of 1 million, they keep making additional amount, right? So they have to be very calculated of what they really do. The third one is the code migration, right? As I said earlier. Now in the code migration, they go by lines of code.
Okay.
Right. So how much they are converting, how do they audit the conversion? That's more important, I think. So they don't have a recurring business there because you will have a set of, let's say, 4,000, 10,000 scripts that you will move to cloud. But big players will always have that recurring money. They might park.
Got it. So probably then if I try to flip it, Prashant, as of now, how many products in the data space you might be actively partnering with? I'm sure you would have historically would have signed so many partnerships which may not be active, but probably in the last financial year or in the last 2-3 years, right? So very active partnership. And within that, how many are the mid to small category would be there?
It's an excellent question because we have a pyramid of these partnerships. And as you said, right, in the data space, I would say at least every fortnight I see a new partner reaching out to us, right? And they might be funded by likes of Snowflake or Databricks also, right? So basically, if I look at the pyramid on the top, we have all the hyperscalers and Snowflake and Databricks. Those top 5 are always there. The tail is longer, but then we have consciously taken the decision to focus on specific vendors. I'm not going to name them, but in the space of data management, which is very, very important. Basically, that's the base of or the foundation of any data engagement, right? How do I do catalog? How do I do lineage? So in that, I can take the names of the products like, in MDM space, we have Atacama or Reltio or Semarkey, Prophecy. There's so many products. So we are looking at the client base, like what is their liking and which of these products are really cloud native. So either they are built on clouds or they are actually connected with some of the hyperscalers in a very tightly coupled manner. Like I'm checking an example, Azure Purview is a native service for data governance in Azure, right? But with that, which product in the MDM space works very well? So that way we take a decision. So I can say the ratio, like on the top 5, I've already said, but the remaining are like very focused partners are around 10 to 15.
Very, very good. So I think definitely what I can see is like, even for a company like a Hexaware, I think, SaaS partnership is very important. Like,
Absolutely.
probably then I will ask, you're a 33,000 employees, $10 billion in a bank account, right? And even you are having the customer, right? I think in terms of the subject matter expertise.
Yeah.
So why do you want to partner with a 20-member, SaaS product team, right? What do they have, which technically Hexaware, don't have? Where is the gap they are filling in?
Absolutely. Good. Again, a good question. See, in the beginning, I said one of my responsibilities is managing the platform, which is a strong, like 23-member team within Hexaware or within cloud data and AI team. They are very good at building new features in the product itself. Like, and all this is related to modernization. Now, still, as you asked, there are a lot of companies which would like to partner. They are really niche in a specific thing. Now, it is about working cohesively together to cater to the client. Now, if I take any client in professional services or in HNI, healthcare and insurance, if there is a specific issue that they are dealing with, most of the other companies will also have same issues. Now, in that space, if some partner is there who's doing that niche work, like building a model for industry model for some, so, let's say insurance, or converting some specific, like let's say SaaS to Python, this is very specific. Now, there are partners who are very good in this. So it's not that we cannot build it, but we don't, I mean, that's not ethical actually, right? So what we really do is we augment our services for the client with them. So that's, as you said, it's a small company, like 20, 30 members. But we want to keep, both of them together, Maze and that team, and then cater to the client. The other thing is, if at all, we feel that we can build it, we still would not do it because we have our roadmap for Amaze and their roadmap mapped together. And if they have the feature, we will not do that. That's the thought.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, very nice. After talking, we had many conversation with other SIs, right? But I think on the camera, it is different. But when we see in the practice, we see that they, in the initial few clients, they say that they work. But as they see that across customers, the requirement is there, then they try to replicate. Right?
So augment that question or answer. See, there is another model. So we are doing a co-build with the same vendor, because there might be some features which they are not able to scale quickly and convert it, right? So we might give our engineering team support to build it, but the IP still remains with them. We don't want to take that IP. That's one way. And second way is when the professional services teams are not able to scale up because implementations are more, we will provide our team to scale up that. So those are the two different models where we cohesively work actually.
Okay. Very important. Very good, Prashant. So it's a very clearly defined way of working together with the SaaS product.
Yeah.
Right. So probably again shifting gears. So there are plethora of SaaS products, right? I think I was looking at only in the sales and MarTech. I think may not be related to data. I see around 11,000 even kind of funded companies. I'm sure in data also that kind of number will be there. So how do you really identify a SaaS product, right? I think when I say identify, one is whether inbound or outbound, but primarily what are the characteristics you are looking at? We already covered few points earlier, but if I try to put it together as a question, what are the characteristics you are expecting from a SaaS product?
Yeah. See, SaaS itself is in existence because we don't have an overhead of managing anything, right? Infra and all. So I think SaaS products, there are some benchmarks that we have to really see. Like availability is one thing, because if suddenly something goes wrong, it's a single point of failure, right? It's not that we have a subset of those things being done by someone else. So we have to make sure that it doesn't fail as a single point of failure. Right? Second thing is the agility to provide new features. So now the product might be immature. When I say immature, it is just beta, or some new features have been added. So how much support they are able to give immediately to the client, because that's another important thing. Apart from that, what we do, of course, there are a lot of parameters to check based on the product type. Like if you have data governance products, I'm just again coming to data. There are a list of activities that we perform when we compare multiple products in the same service line. So if we are seeing that based on the requirements of the client, based on the hyperscaler that they are on, if we tick most of those parameters, then we should qualify it. But again, it's a very scientific way of calculating which product is better. So based on these features, you will definitely say, oh, number 1, number 2, number 3, we have got 3 different products. But then what is the management doing for the roadmap of that product? That is also something which we see. We see their reviews from the existing customers, the like the company like Gartner providing some of the feedback about them. So all that goes into input. And the last thing, which is most important, what is the kind of support they provide? Because if the support is not good, then I think it's a trouble for us as well as the client. So I think these are some of the things that we really look at.
Okay, interesting. You also mentioned about beta. So probably I will try how a customer looks into it, because you are dealing with Fortune 2000, if not Fortune 500, right? And suddenly you are saying that, hey, I'm dealing with a startup and that to a beta. How do they look into it? Prashant? Yeah. And how do you manage those questions?
Yeah. So see, it depends on our relationship with the client also, right? So we see there are 3 pillars for data team that we really operate on, and the middle pillar on that is being the trusted advisor for the CDO organizations. Now, if I'm with a trusted advisor, it is given that I'm not going to bring something which will screw up their work, right? That's the last thing on our mind. And I mean, even if it is a very strong partner, we want to make sure that they are brought in only if we know that we'll do something good for the client, right? So the clients in Hexaware are very sticky. I think average I've seen the relationship is at least 12 to 14 years for the clients. And even the net new accounts, which are the tail, they come with some reference, right? So from our side, we make sure that the partner who comes, we have skin in the game. So we have our engineering team working, doing POCs, confirming that everything works. And even if there's a new feature coming up, we'll back it up with some of our services, so that if it fails for some reason, we have something to really augment it.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, I was about to ask that, because you may do, I think obviously you'll do the lot of homework, but the startup being kind of vulnerable company in the early stage, for various reasons, either it may not be one product, but the company itself might find it in the survivability. So in those situations, how do you really handle the client requirement, because the product has to survive?
Yeah.
Because I will tell one interestingly, when I was running my previous AI startup, I was selling to one of the largest retail chains, right? And I was talking to the CIO, right? They're really impressed about our product and stuff. But they need to, apart from paying license fee, because we are processing the edge, they need to make a good amount of investment on the edge devices across the.
Correct.
He doesn't want to put his neck on the line. So he said that at least can you give your source code?
Oh.
So that at least
Confidence.
the product will work.
Yeah.
What you're giving.
Understood.
Right. How do you handle, again, these kind of situation? Have you ever come across, Prashant? Do you have any anecdotes? I think the audience will love to hear these things.
Absolutely. So see, data observability is a big thing now, right? And I completely agree with you on this. I feel that even if it is a big player like any hyperscaler also, within that, if a new feature comes in or a new product or service they launch, that is also like a small startup, right? It's also vulnerable, and it's a bigger vulnerability because they definitely have to adapt to that service, because being in that ecosystem for a long time. And so I look at it as, let's say, a new service being launched by Microsoft is as good as a new startup coming, with some new service, right? That's how I'll compare it. So see, definitely, we have come across that, as in there's a data observability solution company, and now they cater to both Snowflake and Databricks. So now within the data world, these two are the biggest, I would say, competitors for each other. Of course, they both host themselves on any of the hyperscaler, right? It can be Azure or AWS. Now, the product company which I'm talking about, it's a startup which supports the data observability piece and the FinOps piece of it. So, which has become now very important, because, as I said in the beginning, your budget is, let's say, 50,000 per month. It goes to 100K within no time. And then the CI is under pressure that, you didn't have this budget already factored. So data observability keeps it tracked to, come back to 50K, or at least reduce some percentage of, that 100K. So this product was working well on Snowflake, as in to cater to Snowflake services. But when it went to Databricks, it's a completely different thing. And they were in beta. As I said, they're building new features. So the UIs may not be great, but the underlying data that they collect, you can easily analyze that and draw analytics on top of it and create some, informed decisions, like how can I improve the performance of Databricks or reduce the cost of Databricks. So I think what we did with them is we helped them to sell that with the not so great UI, but to show the value to the customer, like just giving them to try it out for 4 weeks. Okay, the first set of recommendations that were given itself was showing like 10% reduction in the bill. Now that first 10% reduction gave the confidence to the client that, oh, there is a promising feature that they are having. Let's try it for another 4 weeks. So it bootstraps like 4 weeks, and it becomes a big thing. So I mean, this is a small example that we can actually help them by co-selling their feature. And to do that, we try it on our own labs also. So it's not that we directly go to the client. We tried it on our lab. We found it is good. Then we qualify. Our CO is qualified. Then we qualify it for the customer. So that's how.
Got it. Got it. Again, have you when you deploy, have you any difficult situation have you handled, especially in the very early stage? And no, what I'm trying to understand is what are the red flags you look at from the startups when they are reaching out to you? Is there anything specific in your mind?
See, red flags is one thing that startups may not have case studies, right? And any customer will always see, I want a reference. Where have you used, right? So that is where I think what, especially, I'll take an example of Fabric also, right? Fabric, when it came, we tried it on our own systems. So Hexaware itself has internal ITs.
That's bit of Microsoft.
Yeah, of course. Even if it is Microsoft, see, the apprehension is now Synapse came in maybe 4 years back. People started adopting it. Initially, there were teething issues. Any new service will go through it, right? Of course, it's now matured. But within that space, now people have just moved to Synapse, and Fabric came in. And everyone wants to get into Fabric. But people want to not be that guinea pig that I'm testing it first, right? So we have tried it on our own systems. We integrated data from 20 internal applications. Our entire management uses dashboards coming out of Fabric. Then when we have that confidence, we go to the customer and show that, well, this is how it is being used and what's the advantage. So then it is easy to sell. That's what I'm saying. Well, plus, there might be some glitches in that, like how do we follow the billing mechanism? How do I optimize certain things? But that's, every product will go through this. Like there is a time where there will be spike of issues, and then it stabilizes, and then you start liking it, right? So
Got it, Prashant. Got it. Got it. I think when we are having on another day conversation, I think you mentioned you have a clear roadmap for the data practice within Hexaware, right? I think you have a 10-step or 10 bricks level of planning.
Yeah.
Could you little bit explain about what is your vision, so that again the relevant companies can reach out to you?
yeah. So I'm thinking in terms of general capabilities, not purely on the partner, right? This question is more on how we are expanding in the capabilities.
Right, as a data set,
Yeah.
but within that you can touch upon very specific where you are looking for a partner.
Sure.
Or any specific capability which you are looking from an outsider. Yeah.
Got it. So 3 focus areas. The reason for these focus areas also I'll tell you. So first one is our data engineering has been a strong suit. So traditionally 70 to 80% of that revenue is data engineering. And when it is even AI business, so a lot of plumbing is required, which is data engineering. So we continue to focus on data engineering as our core strength. Second one, as the central one, as I told in between that, it's being the trusted advisors for the CDO organization. Now, what happens is when we do that, there is a range of new capabilities that automatically we have to build. So when I'm a trusted advisor for CDO will start from very small things like, can you build a data quality framework for me? Or a roadmap, how can I fix the data quality? Because the end result is that there is no trust on the data from the business side, right? So it relates to the small offering, which is how do I build my so that is first, but it can go up to AI strategy. So you build the AI strategy, your how do you set up the enterprise data platform for them? So that's on the advisory area. That's purely consulting work. But then that gives you more business into data engineering. And now within data engineering, there are so many things. Like I'm thinking of modeling itself is a big work because a lot of places we struggle with the data models, right? So we have 6 different categories in data engineering itself. So it ranges from building model to building the visualization end to end, right? ETL and everything coming there. Now, the new business that we want to focus more on is the managed services. Because we put everything in production, then some other company or some other vendor comes in or internal IT comes and manages it. So we want to expand that, and because we know that very well, so we'll expand that, right? And there's a lot of innovation happening in the managed service fields. Like we are building data co-pilots for managed services. Now this is one. Now as a foundation, as I said, foundation is all your data quality, your data lineage, data sharing. So you want to enable and monetize your data. So that's the foundation. So you need to have a proper MDM solution. That is also a suite of solutions that we are focusing on. So the base, which is just now I spoke about, the data governance and management is a big piece because a lot of companies, including bigger banks now, right? Citibank recently had a big fine on, because of the risk that they did not foresee. So that's again related back to the way you are governing the data access control and all. So that's a big piece where we are focusing on. We're looking for partners to answer a question. Now, all this is fine, but the last piece, where everything is done, you need to build more business solutions. So AI-driven business solution is something which is our core focus now. So there's a lot of focus in terms of getting right people to create that. And as I said, we also had a recent acquisition. So that acquisition is enabling our MarTech and AdTech capabilities. So this is all catering to the AI-powered business solutions, which is a new business unit that we are focusing on.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. And that also, we are ensuring that it is both verticalized as well as horizontal solution. So with something like customer insights, will cut across all verticals. But there will be some specific like clinical data as a service, which is a specific solution for a vertical like life science. So we're focusing on that.
So out of this whole building up, Prashant, how many you're expecting, or what are the areas you're expecting completely will be internally done, or do you expect there is some gaps because you are able to see from a bird's eye view, saying that hey, these are the areas where we might look for interesting products outside. Yeah.
So one of the reason we're looking for new partners to work with is there are too many solutions in specific things, right? So now zeroing down on something which can be taken to multiple clients is what we want to really look at. Then there will be a specific portfolio of companies. Like let's say you do a solution for one of the commercial insurance client. That model can be replicated across all commercial insurance clients, right? So we look at making a template based solution and spreading it across and scaling it up. That's the second. Third is there are very niche partners for Databricks and Snowflake, where Databricks and Snowflake themselves are invested to make sure that they succeed. Now, they are very small, because the solution is very strong, but if they have to scale, they need stronger, service oriented, let's say pods being created. So that's where we see Hexaware can really scale up and help them actually. The last thing is AI-powered business solution. As I said, it's still new. We have moved out from the experimentation phase to POC phase now, but from POC to jump into the production deployments is something which we are really looking at. And I'm talking about more GenAI based solutions, productivity, optimization and all. So that's where I think we'll need more support. The choosing the right product. once you select a particular, let's say, product or a vendor, how do I scale them? Those are the things we'll focus on.
Great. Thanks, Prashant. Prashant, moving on to the topic, right? SIs are by nature, they're huge, right? I think I'm sure within Hexaware you'll have 1,000 VP tags and all. Normally, the startups really find it difficult to identify who is the relevant person, or sometimes they go and talk to one person and believe that he will bring the business for you.
Correct.
Right? So, and also the structure between different organizations vary, right? So, could you, from the Hexaware, could you tell how the sales are, especially? Could you explain, and then how a SaaS can really reach out to you?
Got it. Yeah. So interesting actually was that I've seen people reach out to multiple people and then they finally come. So yesterday I was getting a question. A newcomer has joined and he was asking me, "What should I come you for?" I said, "You should come to me when you need a POC for anything, where I know who are going to reach." Okay, so coming to your question, yeah, of course there are so many VPs. The title is mainly because of the seniority. Sometimes there may be people who are just IC, like individual contributors, but still they will be VP. So they will not really be the influencers for this kind of decision, okay, which partner to work with or whom to bring in and whom to kick out and all. So the I would say the points that this vendor should really look at is look at the people who are commonly speaking in forums for a particular department. Like let's say for data and AI.
Okay.
If you see 3 or 4 names which are always there on the forums, talking to in public, right? Those people are definitely the influencer because they are there because they know everything about the service, right? That is one thing that we should look at. Secondly, there might be people who are publishing things on LinkedIn and they will continuously talk about a specific thing. Now, if your product or services are around that, even he or she may not be the owner of that service or decision maker, but he or she will be a very big influencer to bring them in. So I think these 2 things definitely they should look at. Thirdly, I think once you talk to a person, you can get some cues, right, and see whether the depth of knowledge or I always feel that in the first call itself you will get to know that is there any follow-up calls to be done with this person or not. So I feel that that's a human way to look at it. When you're talking, the interest itself will show up. The questions that they ask will tell you that whether they know or the subject well or whether they are really understanding what I'm trying to sell. And those cues we should really look at in this whole ocean of VPs.
Okay, probably give an example, right? Yep. I think I'm assuming I'm a data tool doing something in the data practice with AI capabilities, and I'm building something specifically for a for BFS vertical, and most likely I'm targeting North America because there is certain other feature I believe it will work. Now, whom can I reach out to in Hexaware? Because probably for data you are there, for BFS someone will be there, and for USA someone will be there. Probably I'm giving Hexaware as an example.
Yeah.
But I'm saying it could be for any other company.
Yeah, even can be Cognizant or anything, right? So if your product is specifically for a function within a type of business, which is banking,
okay,
though it has actually something to do with data, I would always say we should look at the consumer of that. And the consumer, when I say consumer, so let's say your product does some analysis, but the outcome of that analysis is consumed by the business to, let's say, take informed decisions, for example. Now, you should always target that community, which is the business community. And the business community will always be in the vertical. It cannot be with the service line like data. Though it's a data product, your first point of contact to make an impact is the BU, which is the vertical. Once they feel that, oh, 1 or 2 of my clients really are struggling with this problem and this can be the right solution, then they will loop in the data team to look at this product because, or they want to co-build something with them, partner with them, then they will come to us. I feel that's the best channel if you ask me. If it's something which is very technical solution and not catering to a vertical, then definitely it should be coming to service line, which is us.
Okay. What about the geographical team? I think
Got it. Yeah. Fair. So I think your initial question was about the sales structure. Right?
Fine. Yeah, that's probably I will reiterate.
Okay.
How is the sales structure within that whole thing? Even apart from these 3, we also have a partnership team.
Correct.
And we have a delivery team, right? Yeah. So it is a complicated 5-6 powerhouses within the organization. So how do they really go about?
Okay, now got it. So basically on the top, the sales team, which is actually the hunting team, They are the ones who cater to all services. So basically, they can speak about selling anything and everything which Hexaware can do. Okay. But once they get a cue that, okay, there is a client who is looking for specific thing like cloud modernization or data modernization or SAP modernization or migration, then they reach out to the next level, which is our overlay sales teams. So every service line like data and AI has a overlay sales team, and they again are geographically. So basically, so we have a couple of our overlay sales in North America. Each of them cater to specific vertical, right? So you have to figure out a particular overlay sales guy in data and AI who is catering to banking. Okay, coming back to your example, right? So now this person works with the pre-sales team, which is at offshore, which is owned by us, right? So that's the change. So you have a hunting, you have a team which is a overlay sales specifically for our service line. Then comes the pre-sales team.
Got it.
Now after pre-sales team is the SPU team, which is our strategic partnership unit.
Got it.
Now, strategic partnership unit, they will have a very uh, great connect with the hyperscalers for sure. So that's a given relationship.
Got it.
We don't have to worry. But when it comes to some niche vendors or SaaS products, that time the qualification whether they should come in or not is not SPU team's decision. It is a decision of the COE and pre-sales team within our organization. Once they say this is making sense, it can really boost our business and something, they will ask the SPU team, can we build a partnership? So the paperwork, your NDAs, your partnership, reseller agreements, that's taken care by the SPU. So that's when they come in. After that, the most important is you are a product, fine. How do you scale it?
Right.
So I need our team to be getting their hands dirty on that product, right?
Got it.
So the SPU team and the product vendor team should identify at least 10 to 20 people, which will again come from the competency, our competency.
The data practicing example.
So they get trained on it, and that's when it can be scaled. Otherwise, if people are not trained, every time we have to, you or your team becomes a bottleneck, right? The product team becomes a bottleneck. So that's how I look at it. So first, try to enable as much as possible, so people understand. Then they automatically, tell the people that you should use this product.
Fantastic. Thanks for that. Sure. Got it. So the next question is like, many times, even in our my previous startup, we keep on giving demos to customers, right? But unfortunately, the ball never reaches a goal post, right? So how do we really take? That is one. And number two, how do we handle the free POC request from a system integrator? I know I'm putting in the spot, but
Yeah. So there are two different schools of thoughts here. Many clients take POCs. So why do we do POC? POC is a proof of concept, right? Basically,
right.
Will it be able to do A to B, whatever you are in mind, right? So ideally, if that feature, you are saying that feature is there, and you have a case study around that, you don't have to do a POC.
Okay.
You can directly jump on a MVP with the customer. That, okay, show me your data, I'll show and give it to you. It's not a POC, it's a MVP, and that should be paid in case if the outcome is right.
Okay.
So what I usually feel is that, let's say your budget is 30K for the and maybe I'm not even taking license fees and all, because once the MVP is successful and they buy the product, you can rationalize this 30K into that pricing, right? Basically, you have lost 30K, but you've got the customer, and you may say, okay, we will charge back when the actual implementation happens or something like that. Or you charge upfront. That's the second thought. Because when you charge, people are more serious, okay?
Got it.
Because they are also under pressure because they're paying something. So their people are involved in it and, participating rightly. So when that happens, so you are getting paid 30K.
Right.
You may do the other way. If you get into the business, then you may say, we'll waive off that 30K, because that's the incentive, I would say. So to answer your specific questions, yeah, you will keep doing demos with people, but it's not hitting the right place. I would say more than demo and POC, look at showing them the right reference if you have, and then say, I'll directly, put my skin in the game and do the MVP. If you don't like, nothing, like it's free, whatever product you have got, you use it. So if you do it for 4 or 5 customers like that, it becomes a reference, because they have used it, and then you can easily, you don't need to do demo after. Once in a while you can have a demo.
Understood. So probably my first question is like, I do multiple demos with a system integrator for different customers. But how do I go in front of the customer, right?
Okay.
I don't get introduced many time, right? But we are always in a kind of begging bowl, right? Hey, how can I get an introduction? How do we handle this? At what stage I will cross a line and say enough is enough?
Yeah. So I mean, again, it depends on the funds. I'm a big fan of this, events which happen where you get a lot of footfall. I mean, you have to really choose the event very carefully. You might end up spending like 30K for the fees for 2-3 days, but the footfall is not great, or the footfall is there, but they are not relevant.
Right.
They are actually some other buyers. So how do you qualify? That is more important. Because if you do that, there itself in a couple of days, you will get at least 50-60 leads, which can at least, even if 50% get converted, so 30, at least you will get the demos, right? That's one. But if you're really looking at, directly approaching, of course, it is through your network, I think. Cold calling, a lot of people keep doing that. So until and unless with that cold calling, I see today morning, I wrote a mail to someone that, have you really qualified this lead? Yeah, you got a lead. But in the first call, how interested were they to even look at our service? Is there anyone internally who is already doing it? Because a lot of times you bring in something which they already started building and they feel threatened that, if this comes, my ideas are, going for. But instead of saying that, okay, I can augment your ideas, right? Um, maybe we're going around, but I think the events are one thing which really, give you much bulk of the, demos, and they are more relevant because they will at least sign up for something in next couple of weeks and you can go. Otherwise, it's all networking and really finding I think initially we spoke about really finding that right VP. It will not be VP, SVP, anything, who really knows that product well. As in, when I say product, the utility of that product, how it will help the client.
Got it, Prashant. Sure. So, do you have, I think we talked about various different things. You have any good success case studies of, product partnership for you? How it really started? How do you really identify it from, I think, the complete life cycle? Could you?
Yeah, sure,
Thank you.
sure. So one which is very dear to me because I started when I joined Hexaware. I joined in September 2021. October, I got assigned to let's say a client to look at their modernization journey. So when I went to London, they were looking at everything. Like client was looking for every aspect of the data value chain, and for every aspect looking for a solution or a out of box from the hyperscaler, or looking for a product or a vendor. So giving an example for data governance, they were looking at Calibra, Purview versus some more. So there are 4. We zeroed down on 2, and then we gave the final POV on that. Similarly, for MDM, there was another one. So I figured out that the cost of MDM for them should be very less. Otherwise, they will struggle because their use cases were very simple. What they're mastering is not a big thing, and the volume of the data is not huge in commercial insurance. Commercial insurance, the value of the data is huge because they in let's say aeroplanes or ships, that kind of products they are insuring. So the volume is very less, but the value of that insured amount is huge. So a product which is very simple for MDM is what I was looking for. And I met one person. I just figured out, asked him like, can we meet for lunch? We met easy.
So it's an outbound from your side.
Outbound from my side.
Wow, learn.
I just asked him, can we meet for lunch? And we met. Now, what I gave him is, he just clearly called out to me his frustration. His frustration was, I'm looking for a partner, and he named few of them. I cannot name them, but he named few of them. Some of them are Indian SI. He said, I really struggle because they're huge and they don't give importance at all. Okay. But I saw that promise in the product. So I said that I'm committing you 30 certified people on your product in next 1 quarter.
Wow.
That immediately he got interested, and we signed a reseller agreement. We promised that, when he promised that, for the first 5 implementation, their professional service will sit with us. So that was on paper. And now it is almost 2.5 years. We have 6 implementations with the same product on MDM, which is, for them, it is one of the fastest growing partnership. So I feel that any partnership you have to nurture and you have to focus. I mean, if you bring 5 partners in the same space, it's not going to work. So it's a mutual thing. They also put a lot of effort in us. We also put, because every training Every certification was free for us from them. They had set up labs for us. So they did a lot of from their side. What we did is we committed on something and we gave them the commitment. That's it. We gave the people to work on it.
Fantastic. Great case study, Prashant. So could you just tell, like, when the product company comes, you also mentioned about certified people. How is the partnership journey will work? I think from the time you identify a partner till onboard and scale, like, which are the support you expect from them and which are the support you will provide? I think.
Yeah. Sure. So I think the first thing is, as I said in the beginning when you were talking about demos, is let people use your product for free.
Sure.
At least for, let's say, 1 quarter, you have to invest in enabling. And I'm not sure, I came from the Oracle days when there was a company called SQL Star. So they were just promoting in the colleges to get people certified on Oracle. SQL Star was one of them. So all I'm saying is, the moment people know about it, then only they can actually, in any conversation, they will talk about it, right? So I feel you have to just keep feeding a lot of material into people. That is from the product side. So they gave everything for free, labs, sandbox, everything.
Sure.
What we did is only providing the right people with the mindset. So if you know people who are good at picking up the new technologies, we have to just put them and get them certified. That's the first step, I would say. Once that is done, GTM has to be prepared, right? We have to target some specific and in the reseller agreement and the agreements that we sign, it's always that customer can come from their side or we can bring a customer to them, right? So our TAL list is also shared with them, because by then we have built the confidence, NDA is signed, everything.
Sure.
So there will be some common customers where they are also pitching and they know they can sell the product there, and we are pitching from the service side. So we target those customers first. So if the TAL list is like 50 clients, it can zero down on 10 clients. 10 clients we focus, you will convert 50% of it. So that 50% can be converted from their end, or we are pushing for the product, right? And we keep telling the client that this product is really good, and it's backed with some in-house experiments or with the client also. So the next phase is like one implementation you have to expedite at any cost jointly. So if I am just putting something in production in the next 4 or 5 months with that product, that's it. That becomes an accelerator for you. So because you have to tell that it is done with this customer, with this kind of setup, like in Azure, with whatever product you're using, it becomes a bootstrap. And what other thing we have done, governance wise, right? We had a monthly. Initially, it was a weekly cadence to check how many people are really doing the courses, certifying. So we had a
Every partner you are doing this.
No, the focus partners.
Okay.
Each and every partner, it will be difficult. But when we see the same kind of commitment from the other side, we do that. When basically I will nominate someone from my team to be focusing on this partnership for a certain period of time. We see within 3 months what are the results, how is it going. If there is a sudden drop from there and in the interest, it is natural. It's a human nature. So if someone is not showing interest in us, we'll also a little bit focus on some other partners showing interest. So it's the mutual thing, I would say. After one implementation, I see it continuously keeps coming. You don't have to worry about it.
Got it. Fantastic. So when will you commit the number of, I think, what is it, the number of practice people, certified people, when that stage will reach, Prashant?
Yeah. So when we are creating the GTM and we are creating the TAL list and sharing it, right? So we know at least, let's say if I go conservative also, out of the 10 common, I'll go, let's say even only 2 or 3 will be converted. So for the 2 and 3 conversion, if I don't have a bench of architects and developers and testers, even if I win something, I will not be able to deliver on that. So for 3, I know I will need 15 people, for example.
Got it.
So I will commit 20 so that 15 will stay, because all 20 who are trained, 5 might leave for other projects.
Got it.
Right? So 15 I will have, and then they will train more people, right? That's how it will work.
Very nice, Prashant. Okay, got it. So you also already touched upon that was supposed to be my next question is like, educating your sales team, because you have a sales team, client partners, account managers, they're plethora of so many people.
Yeah.
And many times what we have seen is things don't move at that stage. I think at the CEO level, great, we have done agreement, we have done PR.
Yeah.
At the practice side, at the every CXO level, top level, it is there. But on the ground, things don't move because, so could you throw a little bit light about what the sales guys, they really go through?
Yeah.
Right? And what it takes for to get their attention, Prashant.
That's what. So I understand that's a challenge, but what we have done in our data and AI team, at least the OLS sales, we have got people from the industry who were earlier hands-on also. Basically, they know the pain of the client the moment they meet the client, and if something they speak about, I'm not able to scale. I'm from last 1 year, I'm just figuring out the use cases, or my model is not scaling. Costs are high, so they immediately correlate with that problem, right? And they can think of, okay, a loss in trust of the data instead of quality issues are there. What are you doing for quality? So their conversation will start like this. Now, coming to the onboarding of a partner, it is still difficult. The reason being, they already have a lot on the plate, right? So I think more than getting their attention to the product, getting their attention for anything is difficult, right? So we have to see the list of the companies that they are catering to. What we do internally, I'll tell you, the pre-sales teams manages the SharePoint where we keep track of all the clients, all the opportunities, right? Now, the moment something new comes up, so it flows from the CRM, it comes to us, because if it is tagged to data, it will come to us. So data opportunity is there. Now we know the sales guy is working on it. He may, or he or she may typically solve the same thing based on the old experience, right? But I know that there is a new product that we have already figured out for it. So that's when the pre-sales and sales team will actually talk, or proactively we have a weekly call with them also. So we'll tell that, okay, for this particular client, you are looking at a solution. We have a better solution for it, and you don't look at this product. So that's when that maybe that fire comes in. Okay, I want to see the demo, whether because he has to go to see the client, right?
Correct, correct. And the sales guy will never talk unless he's confident of
Absolutely.
the product. Yeah.
Either he's confident or he'll say, get the product vendor with me, right? And so usually we avoid to getting product vendor in in front of the client immediately, at least for 1 or 2 meetings. We will not allow. It's in a good sense because we want to take only when we see that there is a maturity at that the sales cycle. So the internal team will actually give the demo. We don't even need the product team to come in because by then we have already seen the product very well internally. We might even have a sandbox environment to show them. So we do that. We give them the references if it is there, or if it is not there, how we internally really tested it very well. So that's when they get the confidence. I think that's the cycle that we follow. But I see that there will be struggle in many of other companies because when I came from other orgs, I see that too, there was a struggle. The sales team, they they don't focus much on anything new. They go with that what tried and tested they know.
So there's no easy solution. It is, you need to go through the grunt.
Correct.
Right. But even if I'm ready to go through the grunt, Prashant,
Okay.
what should I do? Because the client partner is in Europe, he's in US. So do I need to go in front of him, or how do I really handle that aspect?
Yeah, I mean, see, from the cost optics, right, it will be difficult, right? So if you bundle it together with some 5 to 10 customers together or partners together, or if it's an event where you can meet everyone together, right? I think that's the most economic way to do it. I clearly understand remotely there is a challenge for sure. Even today, if you ask for a time, on mails or calls, it is really difficult to get the attention because as I said, their plate is already full. Unless it comes from someone, right? Let's say within Hexaware, if you are in touch with me as a product vendor, I know it is good. Then I internally tell that let's have a meeting. I think those are the channels. Otherwise, you'll have to group things and go and do it. Otherwise, it's very not cost effective partners.
Okay, got it. So I think do you ask for a white labeling per se? Right. I think so. When it comes to white labeling, kind of two questions. Is it for because in certain places the customer is not confident of a completely new product where you are saying that, hey, it's a Hexaware takes care indirectly, right? Is it that, or is it you would like to protect kind of interest of your company? How does it work, Prashant?
Yeah, so I think you answered it both the ways because see, there are some customers who are very clear that they don't want to deal with multiple vendors. So if I'm giving a contract to Hexaware, I just want to deal with Hexaware. So what you bring in internally, they don't even want to know that. So there will be no EULA or end user license agreement with them. But most of the other SaaS products, because once it is installed and they're using, we will implement for a year and we'll go back, right? But the product will stay there.
Got it.
So that EULA agreement is required. But anything as part of the services when we're implementing, that if it is white labeled, it will come out also. It's not going to stay there because we don't sell the product.
Got it.
In this case, right? Services group. The second aspect, again, for the first aspect, I've seen the bigger companies, right? The big ones, they really don't want to deal with that mess of multiple vendors. So that's where white labeling is really helpful. At other places, the partner himself will say that, you white label and do it. Because they are not confident that, just by giving our name, they might, come to or accept that product. So that way also, because our platform is huge, so we can absorb one or two, similar service providers in the product space. So then we'll do the white labeling because we know that we can easily sell them.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. So in those situations, how do you protect your interest? When I say interest from the risk of failure of a product, or I think probably we kind of touched upon earlier, but very specifically into these cases because you are putting Hexaware neck there, right? So you ask for kind of, is there any specific clauses or how do you protect your interest first?
Yeah, so of course paperwork is there, as in, see, anything that is between us and the client in the MSA will flow down. Okay. Big time that will be, coming into the contract between us and the partner as well. We have seen this case, by the way, and we have struggled with some of the products because they might have sold with some specific, let's say, specifications. It works well with those specifications. But when the client comes, they have their own framework and their specification little bit vary. So we struggle there. Only the thing is, we'll have to put more people or we'll have to co-build with them so that we can accelerate their fixing of those issues and then, stabilize it. But again, we have never done this that we have left the, partner in cold. Once we are partnered, we are actually together. So whether it's white labeling or we're exposing them, we have seen both cases where we have augmented their teams, co-build also. And that's the only way, whereas none of the products will be 100%, fitting any requirement. And it doesn't happen for sure.
Got it, Prashant. Got it. I think we spend a lot of time trying to kind of probably last couple of questions like, what's your core KRA in the role, right? I think, and while executing that KRA, right? What are the major challenges you are facing, Prashant?
Yeah, so I think the major thing is revenue, of course.
Okay.
So the KPIs are all around.
Not even revenue. Sorry to interrupt. Because again, revenue is a kind of owned by the direct sales team, and also it's not. So, do you own your own sales team, or how is it? Again,
Yeah,
how does
yeah.
it work, Prashant?
So basically, there is a sales team. Of course, they have their own targets as per their verticals. Now, when the planning happens, like for 2025 now, they've already started submitting their numbers based on, past performance and some confidence on, the current SOWs in place and all that, right, or happening. But whatever they do, that has to be delivered, sold properly, and the solutions have to be provided properly. That comes from our team, right?
Okay.
So the overall revenue number for the unit actually falls in my KPIs also.
Got it.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Now, how do we manage or how do we do it, right? See, first thing is practice is it's a group of niche people. So when they are there, again, that's a talent nurture. How do you do it? We bring a lot of people with, if I look at the average experience in my team, it's like maybe ranging around 17 to 20 years. Okay. So we want to make sure that we have the learning culture. So CoEs are set up. They should never get bored by the work that they do every day. So every day there should be something new. When I say every day, it's not like every day, but
every day. Okay.
yeah. So every month, let's say something is changing. So they keep getting a new, client, new challenge. Certifications is one of the most important thing for us. We ensure that everyone, including me, I am certified on 2 technologies recently within last 1 year.
Wow.
And that culture is there for everyone. When GenAI came in, we have democratized GenAI, right? So every person in the team has to have some GenAI level certification done. We are continuously building something new. When I say it's like co-pilots, we call them Hexaware's data and AI co-pilot. So that's how we keep, everyone interested. sharing the knowledge, sharing experiences. In the weekly calls, every toughest RFPs are being discussed and what we did to solve it. Even if we lost it, why we lost it, how can we course correct? I think those engaged discussions is something which help us. And the last thing I wanted to focus on is the public branding of either yourself, your team, how you keep focusing on publishing the blogs, speaking in public forums, going to the colleges and all that. So those are the things that we keep on doing in the practice. I think that really helps.
Okay. Any major challenges in executing the whole thing?
Yeah, I think there was a challenge. Like iteration was one of the challenge earlier, but I think we have doused it with time. Still, there will be some junior level. I'm not talking about the practice, but the competency where the junior level folks are there. We have to take care of their aspirations very well. Otherwise, the attrition is already very common threat for all the SIs right now. I think that's all. Nothing more.
Okay. So thanks a lot, Prashant, for giving your time, and I'm sure our audience will love it.
Thank you for having me.
I'm sure all of you are finding value from this podcast series. If you have any questions, interesting insights about SaaS as a partnership, please share it in the comment section below. We will answer back to your queries, or if it is a very interesting question, we will cover up in the upcoming podcast. Also, feel free to share this with your friends, and if you really liked it, then like or share and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching.